The emergency room doors exploded open at 2:47 a.m. 12 federal agents flooded the hallway. Boots thundered against tile. Radio static crackled through the air. They weren't there for a patient. They were hunting. At the nurse's station, Emily Crawford didn't flinch. She kept her eyes on the chart in her hands, kept her breathing steady. The other nurses scattered like startled birds, but Emily stayed perfectly still because she knew something they didn't. The man they were looking for wasn't the most dangerous person in this hospital. She was. And in exactly 90 seconds, everyone was about to find out why a night shift nurse carried a badge no one could ever see. Emily Crawford had been a night shift nurse at St. Margaret's Hospital for 3 years. 3 quiet, unremarkable years. She arrived at 10 p.m. She left at 6 a.m. She wore the same navy scrubs as everyone else. She smiled politely at the doctors. She never caused trouble. She was invisible, exactly as she needed to be. Tonight started like any other. The emergency room hummed with its usual chaos. A teenager with a broken arm, an elderly woman with chest pain, a drunk driver handcuffed to a gurney, screaming at the ceiling. Dr. Marcus Chen barely looked at Emily when he shoved a clipboard into her hands. Room for needs vitals. Room 7 needs an IV restart. And for God's sake, tell security to shut that drunk up before I sedate him myself. Emily nodded. Yes, doctor, was already walking away. He never noticed the way Emily's eyes tracked every person in the ER, every exit, every potential threat. Old habits. Dangerous habits. The kind of habits that could get her killed if anyone ever connected the dots. She moved through her rounds with practiced efficiency. Blood pressure, temperature, pulse. She made small talk with the patients. She laughed at their jokes. She held their hands when they were scared. This was her cover. This was her penance. 4 years ago, she'd been someone else entirely. Someone with a different name, a different life. A life that had ended in blood and fire and a presidential order that erased her from every database in existence. Now she was just Emily, just a nurse, just hiding. If you're enjoying this story of hidden heroes and secret identities, make sure to subscribe. Because what happens next will change everything you think you know about the people who walk among us. At 2:30 a.m., the ER quieted down. The drunk had finally passed out. The chest pain was heartburn. The broken arm was casted and gone. Emily leaned against the nurse's station, sipping terrible coffee from a styrofoam cup. Across from her, Nurse Kelly Martinez scrolled through her phone. You ever think about going back to school? Kelly asked. Getting your NP? You'd make way more money, Emily shrugged. I like bedside care. You're crazy. I'd kill to not deal with Dr. Chun's attitude every night. Emily smiled. He's not so bad. He treats you like a servant. He treats everyone like a servant. Kelly laughed. Then her phone buzzed. She frowned at the screen. Weird. My friend in radiology just texted. She says there's a ton of black SUVs in the parking lot. Emily's pulse didn't change. She didn't look toward the windows. She took another sip of coffee. Probably some VIP got admitted upstairs, she said calmly. But her mind was already moving. Black SUVs meant federal, FBI, maybe ATF, could be marshals, which meant they were hunting. The question was, who? At 2:47 a.m., she got her answer. The emergency room doors exploded open. 12 agents poured through. Tactical vests, earpieces, weapons drawn but lowered. The lead agent held up a badge. FBI, nobody move. We're looking for a patient admitted within the last 2 hours. Male, late 30s. Gunshot wound to the shoulder. Emily's mind flashed back. Room 12. The man who'd come in alone. No insurance. Paid cash. Claimed he'd been mugged. She'd seen the wound. Exit pattern all wrong for a mugging. Entry wound from behind. Someone had tried to execute him. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his face red. You can't just storm in here, we have a federal warrant, the lead agent snapped. Where is he? Chen sputtered. This is a hospital. You need to go through administration, the agent's eyes swept the room. They landed on Emily. You, nurse. Room 12. Is he still here? Emily set down her coffee. She met his eyes, and she made a choice. He left 20 minutes ago, she said quietly. Against medical advice. We couldn't stop him. The agent's jaw tightened. Which exit? North side. Employee parking. It was a lie. The man was still in room 12, sedated, stable. But Emily had seen something. In his eyes when she'd treated him, terror, not guilt. Fear. The kind of fear that came from running from something worse than the FBI. The lead agent barked orders into his radio. 8 agents sprinted toward the north exit. 4 stayed behind. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes and graying hair, stepped closer to Emily. You're sure that's where he went? Emily's face remained calm. I watched him leave. The woman studied her. For one dangerous second, Emily thought she'd been made. Then the agent nodded and turned away. But as she walked toward the exit, she paused, looked back over her shoulder. What's your name, nurse? Emily's heart was a drumbeat in her chest. Emily Crawford. The agent's eyes narrowed. Then she left. Kelly grabbed Emily's arm. Oh my God, do you think he was a terrorist or something? Emily shook her head. I don't know. But she did know. She knew exactly what kind of man left exit wounds like that. The kind who'd seen something he shouldn't have. The kind who was being silenced. And now she'd just lied to a federal agent to protect him. Dr. Chen stormed over. What the hell was that? They were looking for a patient, Emily said evenly. I know that. Why did you tell them he left? Emily met his eyes. Because he did. Chen's face twisted. You're lying. I saw him in 12 an hour ago. Emily didn't blink. Then maybe you should check on him, doctor. Chun's mouth opened. Closed. Then he turned and marched toward room 12. Kelly stared at Emily. What did you just do? Emily picked up her coffee again. Her hand didn't shake. My job, she said quietly. But deep down, in the place where Emily Crawford ended and someone else began, she knew the truth. She'd just made herself a target. And the clock was already ticking. Dr. Chen returned from room 12 3 minutes later. His face was pale. He's still there, he hissed at Emily. Lead to federal agents? Emily didn't look up from the chart she was updating. Did I? You told them he left. Maybe I was mistaken. Chen's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Do you have any idea what you've done? They could charge you with obstruction. Shut down this entire I could lose my license for this. Emily finally met his eyes. Her voice was ice. Then maybe you should call them back, doctor. Chen stared at her. This wasn't the meek night nurse he'd ordered around for 3 years. Something in her eyes made him step back. He pulled out his phone. Emily watched him. Dial watched him lift it to his ear. Then she reached out and gently pressed the disconnect button. Don't, she said quietly. Are you insane? That man in room 12 is running from something. And whatever it is, it's bad enough that someone tried to kill him execution style. That's not our problem. It is now. Chen's face flushed. I'm calling security. I'm having you removed from the ER. Doors burst open again. Not the FBI this time. 3 men in dark suits. No badges visible. No insignia. They moved like predators. The lead man's eyes swept the emergency room with military precision. When he spoke, his voice carried the kind of authority that made everyone stop. We're looking for a patient. Gunshot wound. Admitted around midnight. Dr. Chen straightened. The FBI was just here. We're not the FBI. Something in the way he said it made Emily's blood run cold. These weren't law enforcement. These were cleaners, the kind of people who made problems disappear. Kelly stepped forward nervously. Sir, you need to speak with administration. The man pulled out a phone. Showed Chen a photo. Is Mana? Is he here? Chen's face went white. He glanced at Emily. The man caught the look. His eyes locked onto Emily. You know where he is? It wasn't a question. Emily's mind raced through options. The hospital was surrounded. The patient was sedated. Security were mall cops with pepper spray. She was alone, and if she didn't do something right now, everyone in this was about to become collateral damage. She made her decision. "He's in room 12, Emily said calmly. "Down that hall. Third door on the left." The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Thank you," he nodded to his team. They started toward the hallway. Emily moved. Not fast. Not obviously. Just a subtle shift, positioning herself between them and the hallway. "You'll need to sign in," she said pleasantly. "Hospital policy. Even for federal agents." The lead man stopped. "We're not federal agents. Then you definitely need to sign in." His smile vanished. "Step aside, nurse." Didn't move. The man's hand drifted toward his jacket. Kelly gasped. Dr. Chen backed away. The ER went silent. Emily's voice stayed calm, professional. But something underneath it had changed. "Sir, I can't let unidentified individuals access patient rooms. If you'd like to speak with hospital security," I said. "Move." The word hung in the air like a blade. The man's eyes narrowed. "You're making a mistake." "Probably." His hand moved into his jacket. Emily saw the gun before he drew it. She'd been tracking his body language, the micro movements, the tells. 17 years of training didn't just disappear because you put on scrubs. "Last chance," the man said quietly. Emily looked past him. At the two agents by the door, at the security camera in the corner, at Kelly's terrified face. She ran the calculations. 3 armed hostiles, 14 civilians in the ER. No backup. The old Emily could have handled this. But the old Emily was dead. This Emily was just a nurse. Just a nurse who'd made a promise 4 years ago to never be that person again. Never use those skills. Never take another life. She'd walked away from everything for that promise. But some promises were meant to be broken. "Okay," Emily said softly. She stepped aside. Room 12. The man's smile returned. "Smart girl." He walked past her. His team followed. Kelly rushed over. What are you?" Emily held up a hand. She was counting. 5 seconds. 4. 3. The fire alarm exploded to life. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed. The sprinkler system activated. Water poured from the ceiling. In the chaos, Emily moved. She hit the emergency lockdown button behind the nurse's station. Steel barriers began descending over the hallways. The 3 men spun around. The lead man's gun came up. But Emily was already gone. She vaulted over the nurse's station, sprinted down the hallway as the barriers descended, slid under the closing steel door like a baseball player stealing home. Behind her, she heard shouting, gunfire. The barrier sealed shut. She was in the patient wing now, alone with the man they were hunting. And whatever happened next would reveal everything she'd spent for years hiding. Emily ran to room 12. The patient was awake now. The alarm had roused him. He stared at her with wild eyes. "They found me," he gasped. Emily grabbed his arm's stand, started wheeling him toward the service elevator. "Who are you running from?" "You don't understand. They'll kill everyone in this hospital to get to me." "I know." She hit the elevator button. The patient grabbed her wrist. "You need to let me go. You don't know who these people are." Emily looked at him. Really looked at him. And she saw it. The same thing she saw in the mirror every day. The eyes of someone who'd been erased. "Yes," she said quietly. "I do." The elevator doors opened. She wheeled him inside, hit the button for the basement. As the doors closed, she heard the sound of cutting torches on the steel barriers. They'd be through in less than 3 minutes. The patient was shaking. "You just signed your death warrant." Emily pulled the emergency stop button. The elevator lurched to a halt between floors. She turned to face him. "What's your real name?" she asked. He hesitated. "James. James Moreno." "What did you see, James?" "I can't tell you that." "Then I can't help you." His jaw clenched. I'm a forensic accountant. I was auditing a defense contractor. Found something in their books. Something impossible. What? Ghost weapons. Shipments that never existed. Sales to countries we don't do business with. I tried to report it through proper channels. Emily's stomach dropped. Let me guess. The proper channels tried to kill you. He nodded. And now they've sent contractors to finish the job. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drag you into this. Emily released the emergency stop. The elevator continued its descent. You didn't drag me into anything, she said quietly. I walked into it the moment I lied to the FBI. The doors opened to the basement, cold, dark, the smell of industrial laundry and old pipes. Emily wheeled James out into the corridor. There's a service exit on the north side, she said. It leads to the loading docks. From their footsteps, coming from both directions. They were already in the basement. Emily's hand went to her pocket. Empty. No weapon. No phone, no backup. Just her and a half-conscious accountant being hunted by people who killed for a living. The footsteps grew closer. James looked at her. We're trapped. Emily stared down the dark corridor, and for the first time in 4 years, she let the mask slip. No, she said quietly. They are. Her voice had changed. The scared nurse was gone. Something else had taken her place. Something that had been sleeping, waiting, and now, in the darkness beneath St. Margaret's Hospital, it finally woke up. Part 3, Emily pushed James's wheelchair into a maintenance closet. Stay here. Don't make a sound. What are you going to? She closed the door. The footsteps were close now. 2 sets. Coming from opposite ends of the corridor. Standard. Pincer movement. They knew what they were doing, but so did she. Emily grabbed a mop from a supply cart. Tested its weight. Not ideal, but it would work. She moved to the junction where the corridors met. Positioned. Herself in the shadows. Controlled. Her breathing. The first contractor appeared from the east. Corridor mid-40s. Military bearing. Gun drawn. He swept the hallway with professional precision. Emily waited. Patience was a weapon. 2. The second contractor appeared from the west. Younger. Cocky gun. Held too high, amateur mistake. They met at the junction. Basements. Clear, the younger one said. Check again. They're down here somewhere. The older one's radio crackled. Team 2. Status. No sign of the target or the nurse. Nurse. They knew about her now. That complicated things. The older contractor turned to his partner. Split up. You take the laundry room. I'll check maintenance. Younger one nodded and walked toward the laundry room. Emily counted his. Step 5, 4, 3. When he passed the supply cart, she moved, silent, fast. The mop handle caught him across the throat. He choked, staggered. Emily swept his legs. He went down hard. She caught his gun. Before it hit the floor, removed the magazine, cleared the chamber, tossed. Both pieces in opposite directions, all in less than 3 seconds. The contractor gasped for air. His hand went for his backup weapon. Emily's knee found his solar plexus. He went. Limp, she checked his pulse. Still alive? Good. She'd meant what she said. No more killing, the older contractor's voice echoed down the hall. Ryan? Report? Emily dragged Ryan into the shadows, stripped off his radio, put it on her own ear. Ryan, respond. She keyed the radio, mimicked his voice as best she could. All clear. False alarm. Silence. Then, that's not Ryan. The corridor exploded with gunfire. Bullets tore through the walls. Sparks flew from exposed pipes. Emily rolled behind a concrete support column, counted the shots. 17 rounds. Standard. Glock 19 magazine. He had 2 shots left. And less. He carried extended mags. She couldn't risk it. The shooting stopped. Footsteps, running toward her position. Emily grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, pulled the pin. When the contractor rounded the corner, she sprayed foam directly into his face. He fired blind. One shot went wide. The second grazed. Shoulder pain, but manageable. She'd had worse. Emily stepped inside his reach, grabbed his gun hand, twisted. The weapon clattered to the floor. The contractor wiped foam from his eyes and swung. Emily blocked, countered. Her elbow found his jaw. He stumbled back. She swept his legs. He hit the ground. Emily's hand went to his throat. Pressure point. Carotid artery. He struggled for 3 seconds, then went unconscious. She stood over him, breathing hard. Blood running down her arm. The radio crackled. Team 2 is down. Repeat, Team 2 is down. Location: basement level, north corridor. All units converge. She's military trained. Yanked the radio from her ear, crushed it under her. Heel they knew now, which meant the game had changed. She stumbled to the maintenance closet, opened it. James stared at her, at the blood, at the unconscious contractor visible down the hallway. "Who are you?" he whispered. Emily grabbed his wheelchair. "Right now. I'm the only thing standing between you and a body bag." She wheeled him toward the service stairs. Her shoulder burned. The bullet had only grazed her. But the adrenaline was wearing off. Pain was creeping in. She pushed it down. Mind over matter. Another old skill. They reached the stairs. Emily looked at the wheelchair. Then at the 3 flights up to ground level. James saw her expression. "Leave me, not an option. I'll slow you down. You already are." She grabbed him, pulled him out of the chair. He gasped in pain. "Your shoulder still works better than your legs. Lean on me." They started climbing. 1 step at a time. James's weight pressed against her injured side. Every movement was agony. But she'd been trained for this. Pain was just information. Information could be ignored. They reached the first landing, voices above them. "Seal the exits. She's got nowhere to go." Emily looked down the stairwell. More voices below. They were boxed in. James slid down the wall. "This is it. We're trapped." Emily's mind raced. 3 flights up. 2 flights down. Contractors on both ends. Standard textbook trap. But textbooks assumed you played by the rules. Emily didn't. She grabbed a fire hose from the wall. "What are you doing?" James asked. Emily wrapped the hose around her waist. Then around James. Something stupid. She kicked open the stairwell window. Cold night air rushed in. They were 3 stories up below the loading dock. James's eyes went wide. "No, absolutely not. You got a better idea?" "Yes. Surrender. Witness protection." "FBI, the FBI couldn't protect you?" "That's why these people are here." Footsteps thundered down from above. Emily looked at James. "Do you trust me?" "I don't even know you." "Good answer." Grabbed him and jumped. The fire hose went taut. They swung through the darkness. James screamed. Emily counted 3 seconds. 2.1. She released the hose. They hit a industrial dumpster filled with laundry bags. The impact drove the air from her lungs. Pain exploded through her shoulder. But they were alive. She rolled off the dumpster, pulled James down. "Can you run?" He nodded. Barely. They stumbled toward the loading dock exit. Behind them, contractors poured out of the hospital. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Radios crackled. "Target is mobile. Loading dock. All units respond." Emily and James ran. Well, Emily ran. James hobbled. They made it 50 feet before the black SUVs appeared. Headlights blazed. Tires screeched. Doors flew open. Armed men emerged. Emily counted them. 8, maybe 9. She was injured, unarmed, protecting a half-conscious accountant. The odds were impossible. The lead contractor stepped into the headlights. The same man from the ER, he smiled. End of the line, nurse. Emily positioned herself between him and James. Her shoulder screamed. Her legs shook. But she didn't move. Last chance, the man said. Walk away. We'll call this a misunderstanding. No, you're willing to die for some accountant you don't even know? Emily's eyes were steel. I'm willing to die to do the right thing. The man shook his head. Shame. He raised his weapon, and then the night exploded with light. Helicopters. 6 of them. Descending from the sky like mechanical angels. Spotlights turned night into day. A voice boomed from a loudspeaker. This is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Drop your weapons. You are surrounded. Contractors froze. The lead man's face went pale. More vehicles poured into the loading area. FBI tactical teams. At least 40 agents. All armed. All focused on the contractors. The lead man slowly lowered his weapon. His team followed suit. Emily sagged against a dumpster. James was laughing, crying, maybe both. How? He gasped. How did they know? Emily pulled something from her pocket. A small device, no bigger than a quarter. I activated my emergency beacon, she said quietly. The moment those men walked into the ER, You had a beacon? She didn't answer. The FBI agents moved in. Arrested the contractors. Secured the scene. One agent approached Emily. The same woman from earlier. The one with sharp eyes? You lied to me, the agent said. Emily met her gaze. Yes, you saved that man's life. Yes. You took down 2 armed contractors with a mop and a fire extinguisher. Emily said nothing. The agent studied her, then extended her hand. Agent Sarah Chen. Special Activities Division. Emily shook it. Emily Crawford. Night shift nurse. Agent Chen smiled. Sure you are. She turned to leave, then paused. Someone wants to see you, she said. Who? You'll see. 3 black SUVs pulled up, different from the contractors' vehicles. These had official plates. Government plates. The rear door of the center vehicle opened. A man stepped out. Tall, gray hair. 3 stars on his collar. Lieutenant General. He walked toward Emily with measured steps. The FBI agents around him straightened. Some saluted. Emily's heart stopped. She knew that walk. Knew that bearing? No, it couldn't be. The general stopped in front of her. His eyes scanned her face, taking in the blood, the torn scrubs, the exhaustion. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of command. Hello, Colonel. Every person in the loading dock went silent. The word hung in the air like a grenade kernel around them. FBI agents stared. James Marino's mouth fell open. Even Agent Chen looked shocked. Emily stood frozen. For years of hiding, of pretending, of being invisible, shattered in a single word. The general didn't break eye contact. You activated your beacon, he said. After 4 years of silence, Emily's voice was barely a whisper. I had no choice. You always have a choice, Colonel. He gestured at the chaos around them. You chose to break cover, to expose yourself, to protect a man you'd never met. Sir, at ease. His voice softened. I'm not here to reprimand you. Sarah, her real name. Emily Crawford had never existed. She was Sarah Mitchell, Colonel Sarah Mitchell. And the man standing before her was Lieutenant General Marcus Reed, her former commanding officer. The man who'd helped her disappear. James struggled to his feet. Colonel, you're telling me my nurse is a sit-down, Mr. Moreno? General Reed said without looking at him. Before you fall down? 2 medics rushed forward to help James. Reed turned back to Emily. To Sarah, your shoulder needs attention. Fine, that wasn't a suggestion. Sarah had forgotten what it felt like to be given an order, really given an order by someone who actually outranked her. She let the medics guide her to an ambulance. They cut away her scrub. Tup cleaned the wound. It was shallow. The bullet had barely grazed her, but it burned like fire. Reed watched from a distance, making phone calls, giving orders to people. Sarah couldn't see. Agent Chen approached her. "I ran your fingerprints the moment I saw you in the ER," Chen said quietly. "Do you know what came back?" Sarah said nothing.
Nothing.
Complete blank. Like you didn't exist. Chen leaned closer. "So I ran them through some unofficial channels. Took 3 hours. But I found something. A ghost file. Buried so deep, it might as well be classified above top secret." Sarah met her eyes. "And Colonel Sarah Mitchell, Army Special Operations. Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars. 17 years of service. Specialization in high-value target extraction and counterterrorism." Chen's voice dropped. "And then 4 years ago, you vanished. Declared killed in action. Full military funeral. Closed casket." Sarah looked away. "I died," she said quietly. "Emily Crawford was born. Why? Because someone had to. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was all she could give."
The
Medic finished bandaging her shoulder. General Reed walked over. "With me," he said, "it wasn't a request. They moved away from the ambulances, away from the FBI agents and the curious stares. Reed stopped near the edge of the loading dock. The city lights sparkled in the distance. 4 years ago," he said, "you were one of the best operators I'd ever seen. You saved 16 lives during the Kabul extraction. Took a bullet protecting a civilian translator." Sarah remembered the heat, the dust, the screaming, the feeling of her body armor stopping rounds while she dragged people to the helicopter. "You earned a promotion," Reed continued. "Full bird colonel. Youngest in the division. You had a future, Sarah. Command. Maybe even a star someday." "I know. So why did you walk away?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment, then she spoke. "Because I couldn't do it anymore, sir. The missions. The killing, the everything." She looked at her hands. "I was good at it. Too good. And that scared me more than any bullet ever did." Reed nodded slowly. "So you asked to be erased?" "Yes, sir. And I helped you. Against my better judgment. Against regulations, I falsified records. Staged your death. Created a new identity." His voice hardened. "Do you have any idea the strings I had to pull? The favors I called in?" "Yes, sir. And tonight you threw it all away." Sarah turned to face him. "With respect, sir, I didn't throw anything away. I used what I was trained for. To protect someone who needed protecting. James Moreno is a forensic accountant caught up in a conspiracy he doesn't understand.
Ow.
Then help him understand. Help him survive." Reed studied her. "You know what he found, don't you? Ghost weapons. Illegal arms sales. Money laundering through defense contracts. It's bigger than that. The people hunting him aren't just contractors. They're part of a network. One that goes all the way to..." He stopped himself. "It's classified, then. Why are you here, sir?" Reed pulled out his phone. Showed her a photo. 3 bodies. Burned beyond recognition. "These were federal witnesses," he said. "They were going to testify about the same conspiracy Moreno uncovered. Someone killed them 2 days ago. Made it look like a car accident." Sarah's blood ran cold. And you'd think, I think whoever is behind this has resources. Political connections. Enough reach to kill federal witnesses and make it disappear. He pocketed his phone. Moreno is the last living person who can testify. Which makes him the most dangerous man in America right now. So protect him. I am. By bringing in someone I trust. Reed's eyes locked onto hers. Someone who's already proven they'll die before they let an innocent person come to harm. Sarah shook her head. "Oh, no, I'm done with that life." "Are you?" "Because from where I'm standing, you just took down a professional hit squad with a mop. That was different. Because I didn't have a choice. Reed stepped closer. Sarah, those people in the ER tonight? Kelly Martinez, Dr. Chen, the patients. They're alive because of you. His voice softened. You saved 14 lives tonight, just like you saved 16 in Kabul. That's who you are. Not Emily Crawford, the nurse. Colonel Sarah Mitchell, a soldier who protects people. Sarah felt tears burning. Behind her eyes, she'd spent 4 years trying to be someone else. Someone. Normal. Someone who didn't carry the weight of 17 years of violence. But tonight had proven something she'd always feared: you couldn't. Outrun what you were. What are you asking me to do? She said quietly. Reed pulled out a folder, handed it to her. Inside were photos, documents, names. I'm asking you to come back, he said, temporarily. Long enough to keep Moreno alive until he can testify. Long enough to bring down the people who tried to kill him. Sarah looked at the folder, at the faces of the people hunting James, at the scope of the conspiracy. Can't do this alone, she said. You won't be. I'm assembling a team. Best operators in the country, but I need someone to lead them. Someone who knows how to think like both a soldier and a civilian. Someone who can blend in, adapt, survive. Asterisk. He held out his hand. I need you, Colonel. Sarah stared at his hand, at the choice before her. Go back to being Emily. Resume her quiet life, her invisible existence, or step back into the fire. One last time. She thought about James, about the terror in his eyes, about the fact that he'd tried to do the right thing and nearly died for it. She thought about Kelly, about Dr. Chen, about all the people in that ER who'd almost been killed because she'd chosen to hide. She thought about who she used to be, and who she could still become. Sarah took his hand. I'll do it, she said. On one condition, name it, and this is over. You let me disappear again. No questions. No strings. I go back to being Emily Crawford. Reed smiled. Deal? They shook. Behind them, Agent Chen approached. Sir, we've secured the contractors, but there's a problem. What? They're already lawyering up. Government lawyers. High-level clearances. This is going to get complicated. Reed's expression darkened. Then we move fast, before whoever's protecting them can shut this down. He turned to Sarah. How soon can you be ready? Sarah looked down at her torn, blood-stained scrubs, at the hospital behind her, at the life she was about to leave behind. Again. Give me an hour, she said. Reed nodded. 1 hour. Then we're wheels up. He walked away, already barking orders into his phone. Sarah stood alone in the loading dock. The adrenaline was fading now. The pain in her shoulder was getting worse. But more than that, she felt something else. Something she hadn't felt in for years. Purpose. Agent Chen approached. For what it's worth, Chen said, what you did tonight was incredibly brave. Sarah shook her head. It was incredibly stupid. Sometimes those are the same thing. Chen smiled. I requested to be part of your team. General Reed approved it. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you took on trained killers to protect a stranger. I know you're the kind of person who runs toward danger instead of away from it. Chen extended her hand. I'd be honored to have your back, Colonel. Sarah shook it. Call me Sarah, and thank you. Chen walked away. Sarah turned back to the hospital. Through the windows, she could see the Kelly was talking to police officers. Dr. Chen was being interviewed by FBI agents. They'd have questions. Questions she couldn't answer. Emily Crawford would have to disappear tonight, just like Sarah Mitchell had 4 years ago. Sarah pulled out her phone, typed out a text to Kelly. I'm sorry. I can't explain. But thank you for being a friend. Take care of yourself. She hit send. Then she deleted the message. Deleted her entire contact list. Factory reset. Emily Crawford's phone went dark. Sarah Mitchell dropped it in a dumpster. Then she walked toward the black SUV where General Reed was waiting. Toward her new mission. Her last mission. Behind her, The hospital lights blazed. Ahead of her, darkness. But Sarah had spent 17 years fighting in the dark. She knew how to survive. And more than that, she knew how to win. The SUV door closed. The engine started. And Colonel Sarah Mitchell went back to war. Part 5. The SUV drove through the night inside. Sarah sat in silence. General. Reed worked on his laptop. Agent Chen made phone calls. In the front seat, no one spoke to her. They didn't need to. This was the military. Way. Quiet. Efficient. Professional. Sarah stared out the window, watched. The city lights blur past. Somewhere out there. Kelly was going home. Dr. Chen was probably yelling at hospital administration. The ER was returning to normal. Life went on without Emily Crawford. The SUV pulled into a private airfield. A military transport. Plane waited on the tarmac. Engines already running. Reed closed his laptop. Briefing in flight, he said. We have 4 hours before we land. Where are we going? Sarah asked. Classified location. Secure facility. Everything you need will be there. They boarded the plane inside. It wasn't like commercial aircraft. This was a military bird. Spartan. Functional. Built for transport. Not comfort. 6 other people were already aboard. Operators Sarah could tell by the way they sat, alert, watchful, weapons. Within easy reach, these were her team. Reed made introductions. Colonel Mitchell, this is Task Force Guardian. Your team for this operation. He pointed to a man in his 40s. Scarred face. Calm eyes. Master Sergeant Derek Price, former Delta Force, weapons specialist. Price nodded. Colonel. Next was a woman in her 30s. Athletic build. Sharp gaze. Captain Rachel Torres. Marine Corps Intelligence. Tactical analysis. Ma'am, Torres said. A younger man. Maybe 25. Tech gear. Everywhere. Lieutenant Marcus Webb. Cyber warfare specialist. He can hack anything. Webb gave her a nervous smile. The others were introduced. Medic. Demolitions expert. Communications specialist. All the best, all people Reed trusted. When the introductions finished, Reed pulled up a screen at the front of the plane. The engines roared. They were airborne. Listen up, Reed said. What I'm about to tell you is classified above top secret. If you repeat any of this outside this aircraft, you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. Understood? Everyone nodded. Reed brought up a photo. A middle-aged man in an expensive suit. This is Senator Richard Carver, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. One of the most powerful men in Washington. He clicked to the next slide. Financial documents, shell companies, money trails. Carver has been running an illegal arms smuggling operation. Weapons manufactured by U.S. defense contractors are being sold off books to foreign governments. Countries we're sanctioned against. Enemies of the state. Sarah leaned forward.
Ice.
And Moreno found the paper trail. He was auditing one of Carver's shell companies. Found discrepancies. Started digging. Discovered the whole network. Agent Chen spoke up. Why not just arrest Carver? Because he's protected. He has connections at every level of government. FBI, CIA, Pentagon. If we move on him without ironclad evidence, he'll bury it. And us. Reed clicked to another slide. A courtroom photo. Moreno is scheduled to testify before a grand jury in 72 hours. His testimony, combined with the documents he's gathered, will bring down Carver's entire operation. Potentially dozens of co-conspirators. But only if he lives that long, Sarah said. Correct? Carver has already tried to kill him twice. The contractors who hit the hospital tonight were just the latest attempt. There will be more. Captain Torres raised her hand. Sir, if Carver has this much reach, how do we protect Moreno? Every safe house could be compromised. Reed smiled. Where Colonel Mitchell comes in. All eyes turned to. Sarah. Reed brought up a new slide. A remote. Location, mountains. Forest. This is a black site facility in Montana. Off the grid. No official records. Only 3 people in the world know it exists. Myself, the Secretary of Defense, and the President. He looked at Sarah. We're taking Moreno there. For the next 72 hours, you and this team will keep him alive. No outside communication. No contact with anyone. Total isolation. Sarah studied the facility. It looked defensible, but isolation cut both ways. If Carver finds out where we are, he won't. The only people who know about this flight are in this plane. Once we land, we're dark. No radio, no phones. Nothing that can be traced. Lieutenant Webb looked nervous. Sir, with respect, that means we're also cut off. If something goes wrong, then you handle it. That's why you're the best. Reed's voice hardened. Make no mistake. This is a suicide mission, if Carver locates you. But I didn't pick people who give up easy. I picked people who win. The plane went. Silent. Sarah felt the weight of it. 72 hours 3 days to protect one man against an enemy with unlimited resources. It should have terrified her instead. She felt calm. This was what she was built for. The plane began its descent through the window. Sarah saw mountains, pine forests. In the distance, a small compound, isolated, defendable, their fortress for the next 3 days or their tomb. The plane touched down on a rough airstrip as they taxied. Reed handed Sarah a folder. Facility schematics. Security protocols. Everything you need. Sarah opened it, started memorizing. Entry points. Exit routes. Weapon caches. Emergency procedures. She had it down in 2 minutes. Old training, old habits. The plane stopped, the rear ramp. Lowered, cold mountain air rushed in. Sarah stood, the team followed. Her lead at the bottom of the ramp. 2 guards waited. Military, but no insignia. Ghost soldiers like her. One of them stepped forward. Colonel Mitchell. Yes, the asset is inside. We've secured the perimeter. No signs of hostile activity. Sarah nodded. Good, maintain current positions. I'll do a full sweep once we're settled. The guard saluted Sarah. Realized what she'd just done. Given orders. Taken. Command. Like it was natural. Because it was. 4 years of hiding. Couldn't erase 17 years of training? She turned to her. Team. Price. Torres. Secure the exterior. Webb. Get the communications equipment set up. Internal network only. Chen, you're with me. We're checking on Moreno. They moved without question. Professional, efficient. Reed watched from the plane. He smiled. Colonel, he said quietly. Then the plane's ramp closed. Engines. Fired up. Sarah watched it take off. Watched her last. Connection to the outside world disappear into the sky. Now they were alone. 72 hours, Sarah. Turned toward the compound. A small building. Reinforced concrete. Surrounded by forest from the outside, it looked abandoned. But inside, state-of-the-art security, the perfect hiding place, or the perfect trap. She pushed open the door inside. James Moreno sat at a table. He looked up when she entered. His eyes widened. You came, Sarah nodded. Watched you a promise. To keep you alive? I heard them calling you Colonel. I don't understand. You don't need to. All you need to know is that for the next 72 hours, you're under my protection, and I don't break my promises. James stood, walked over to her, extended his hand. Thank you. For everything. Sarah shook it. Don't thank me yet. We still have to get you to that courtroom. Agent Chen entered behind her. Perimeter is secure. No signs of surveillance. We're dark. Sarah nodded. Good. Set up rotation. 4-hour shifts. 2 people on watch at all times. Nobody sleeps unless someone else is awake. Yes, ma'am. Chen left. James watched her. You really were a colonel. I was a lot of things, and now. Sarah looked around the compound, at the bare walls, the security monitors, the weapons cache in the corner. This wasn't a hospital. This wasn't Emily Crawford's world. This was Sarah Mitchell's world, and she'd never really left it. Now, she said quietly, I'm someone trying to do the right thing. The next 72 hours would determine if that was enough. Outside, night fell over the mountains. The compound lights came on. Motion sensors activated. Cameras swept the perimeter. Task Force Guardians settled into their positions. Professional. Ready. Waiting. Sarah stood at the window, watching the forest, listening to the silence. Somewhere out there, Senator Carver was making his move, mobilizing his resources, hunting. The question wasn't if he'd find them. The question was when. And whether Sarah's team would be ready. She touched her shoulder. The bandage where the bullet had grazed her, it would scar. Add to the collection of scars she already carried. Each one a memory. Each one a life saved. Or a life taken. Sarah closed her eyes, breathed, centered herself. In 3 days, this would be over. James would testify. Carver would fall. And she could go back to being Emily Crawford. Back to the quiet life. Back to hiding. But deep down, she knew the truth. Emily Crawford was a fiction. Sarah Mitchell was real. And once you put the uniform back on, it never really came off. Her radio crackled. Colonel, we have movement. North perimeter. Single vehicle approaching. Sarah's eyes snapped open. Distance. 2 miles. Closing fast. Identify. Unable to confirm. Blacked out windows. Sarah's hand went to her weapon. Battle stations. Everyone up. Now. The compound exploded with activity. Lights went dark. Night vision activated. Weapons charged. Sarah moved to the security monitors. On screen, a black SUV wound through the mountain roads, heading straight for them. How did they find us? Chen said. Sarah's mind raced. Leak tracker. Satellite surveillance. It didn't matter. They were here. And 72 hours had just become 72 minutes. Lock it down, Sarah commanded. Nobody in, nobody out. Shoot on sight if they breach the perimeter. The team moved. James stood in the corner, terrified. Sarah walked over to him. Stay in the back room. Don't come out unless I tell you what's happening. Sarah met his eyes. War. And outside, in the darkness, the black SUVs. Headlights appeared through the trees. The black SUV stopped 50 yards from the compound. Engine running. Headlights blazing. Sarah watched from the security monitor. Her team was positioned. Price at the north window. Rifle ready. Torres at the east entrance. Sidearm drawn. Web monitoring communications. Looking for signals, transmissions, anything that might tell them who was in that vehicle. No phone signals. They're dark. Sarah's finger hovered over her radio trigger. Hold fire. Let's see what they do. The SUV's door opened. A single figure stepped out, hands raised, unarmed. I have visual, Price said. Male 60s, suit and tie. No visible weapons. Sarah zoomed in on the monitor. Her blood went cold. She knew that face. Senator Richard Carver. He'd come himself. Stand down, Sarah said quietly. But stay ready. She moved to the door. Agent Chen grabbed her arm. Colonel, this could be a trap. Definitely is, Sarah said. But he came alone. That means he wants to talk, or distract us while his team moves in. Sarah pulled her arm free, then watched the perimeter. If anyone else appears, you shoot first. She opened the door, stepped out into the cold mountain air. Carver stood in the headlights, perfectly calm, like he was arriving at a cocktail party. Colonel Mitchell, he called out. Or should I say, Emily Crawford. I've heard both names today. Sarah walked toward him slowly. Her hand rested on her holstered weapon. Senator Carver. You're a long way from Washington. You're a long way from your hospital. Funny how things change. They stop 10 feet apart. Close enough to talk. Far enough to react if things went wrong. Carver smiled. I have to admit I'm impressed. For years, hiding in plain sight. Working night shifts, saving lives. Playing the humble nurse. His smile widened. But you were never just a nurse, were you? What do you want? To make you an offer? I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet? Sarah's eyes never left his. You want me to hand over Moreno? In exchange, you let me walk away. Maybe throw in some money. Maybe threaten me with exposure. Maybe both. Carver laughed. See? This is why I wanted to meet you. You're smart, efficient. You understand how the world really works. The world where you sell weapons to our enemies. The world where I keep America safe by maintaining strategic relationships with nations that officially we can't support. Do you think peace just happens, Colonel? It's built on backroom deals, on relationships, on people like me doing the hard work while idealists like Moreno try to tear it all down. Sarah's voice was ice. You tried to kill him. He forced my hand. If his testimony goes public, it doesn't just destroy me. It destroys carefully constructed alliances. It puts American lives at risk. It exposes you as a criminal. Carver's smile faded. I'm trying to save lives, Colonel. More lives than you've ever saved. More than you can possibly imagine. By selling weapons to terrorists? By maintaining relationships with people who can stop terrorists? You've been out of the game too long. You've forgotten how it works. Sarah stepped closer. I haven't forgotten anything, including the oath I swore. To protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Carver's eyes hardened. Then you're making a mistake. Because I didn't come here to threaten you? I came to warn you. Warn me? You think General Reed is the hero in this story? You think he's protecting Moreno out of the goodness of his heart? Carver pulled out a phone. Showed her a document. Sarah's eyes scanned it. Defense. Appropriations, Reed's signature. Authorizing. Weapons, sales to the same shell. Companies Moreno had discovered her stomach. Dropped Reed's. Been part of this from the beginning, Carver said quietly. He helped me set up the network. Covered my tracks. Made it all look legitimate. You're lying? Am I? Then why did he send you here? To a location only 3 people in the world supposedly know about? Carver gestured at the compound. Except I found you in less than 6 hours. How do you think that happened? Sarah's mind raced. The leak, the tracker, the impossibility of Carver. Finding this place, unless someone told him. Reed sent you into a trap, Carver continued. He's going to let me eliminate Moreno. Eliminate your team. And blame it all on me. Then he walks away clean. Gets a promotion. Maybe even a cabinet position. Sarah's hand moved to her weapon. Even if that's true, why are you here? Why not just send your contractors? Because I don't want more bloodshed. I've seen your file, Colonel. I know what you can do. And I know that if I send men after you, a lot of them will die. Including possibly me. He took a step closer. So I'm offering you a way out. Walk away. Take your team. Leave Moreno. I'll make sure Reed goes down with me. You get justice. I get my silence. Everyone wins. Sarah stared at him, at the documents, at the impossible choice. Trust Reed. Trust the man who'd helped her disappear. Who'd brought her back. Or trust Carver. A man she knew was a criminal. But who might be telling the truth about Reed. Behind her, the compound door opened. General Reed stepped out. He must have arrived while Sarah was focused on Carver. He walked toward them. His face was unreadable. Senator Reed said calmly, I was wondering when you'd show up. Carver smiled. Good to see you, Sarah. Looked between them. You two know each other? Of course we do, Carver said. We've been business partners for 6 years. Reed's expression didn't change. That's one way to put it. Sarah's weapon came up. Pointed at Reed. Tell me it's not true. Reed looked at her. Really looked at her. Sarah, I need you to trust me. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you right now. Sarah's finger moved to the trigger. Last chance, General. Are you part of Carver's operation? Reed was silent for 3 seconds. Then he smiled and pulled his own weapon, pointed at Carver. Actually, Richard, you walked into my trap, not the other way around. Carver's face went pale. Reed's radio crackled.
All units.
Move in. The forest exploded with movement. 50 agents emerged from the trees, FBI tactical teams, military police, all. Surrounding the clearing, all weapons trained on Carver. Sarah lowered her gun, trying to process what was happening. Reed kept his weapon on. Carver, you were right about one thing, Richard. I did help you set up the network. 6 years ago, when you approached me with your scheme, I went straight to the FBI. We've been running you ever since. Carver's face twisted. This was a sting? The longest sting operation in FBI history. Every weapons sale. Every shell company. Every illegal transaction. We documented it all, Reed smiled. And tonight, you just confessed to everything. In front of a federal witness. He gestured, Agent. Chen stepped out of the compound, holding a recording device. Every word she said. Carver's legs buckled. FBI agents moved. In handcuffs. Miranda writes. It was over. Reed holstered his weapon, turned to Sarah, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. If you'd known, Carver might have sensed it. He needed to believe I was dirty, that this was a real betrayal. Sarah's hands were shaking. You used me. I trusted you. There's a difference. Reed's voice softened. You were never in danger. Sarah, we had 100 agents in those woods. Snipers, surveillance. If Carver had tried anything, could have told me no. I couldn't, because you needed to be genuine. Your anger. Your doubt. Carver's smart. He would have seen through anything less than real. Sarah wanted to be angry, wanted to feel betrayed. But looking at Reed's face, she saw the truth. He'd done what he had to do, just like she had. Just like they all did. Carver was being led away, still shouting, still denying. But it didn't matter. They had him. Reed turned to the compound. Bring out Mr. Moreno. James emerged, confused, terrified, when he saw Carver in handcuffs. His legs nearly gave out. Is it over? Reed nodded. You're safe. You'll testify tomorrow. And Senator Carver will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Us. James.
Looked at Sarah, at the woman who'd saved. Him, who'd protected him, who'd given up everything. To keep him alive? Thank you, he whispered. Sarah managed a small smile. Here are. Welcome, Reed gestured to his team. Moreno to a safe location. Full protection detail. I want him in that courtroom tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. They led James away. Sarah stood in the clearing. The FBI was packing. Her team was securing their gear. The mission was over. She'd succeeded. Reed approached her one last time. You did good. Colonel, don't call me that. Why not? It's who you are. Sarah shook her head. We had a deal. One mission. Then I disappear again. Reed was quiet. Then he pulled out an envelope, handed it to her. New identity, new documents, new life. Anywhere you want to go. Sarah took it. Felt its weight, freedom, anonymity, the chance to disappear forever. There's just one problem, Reed said. What? Emily Crawford died tonight. The hospital knows. The FBI knows. You can't go back. Sarah had known this was coming, but hearing it still hurt, so I start over again. Or, Reed paused. You come back, officially. Help me run operations like this. Use your skills to protect people who can't protect themselves. Sarah looked at the envelope. Then it read, I don't want to kill anymore. Then don't. Be the person who saves lives. Leads missions. Trains the next generation. His voice was gentle. Sarah, You're one of the best operators I've ever seen. The country needs people like you. The country needs nurses too. It does. And you were a great one. But you're also a great soldier. Why not be both? Sarah opened the envelope. Inside. New papers, new name, new everything. She could walk away. Right now, become someone else. Start. Over. For the third time. Or she could stay. Accept. Who she really was. Stop running. She looked at Reed. I do this. I do it my way. No more secrets. No more games. If you need me, you tell me everything. Reed extended his hand. Deal. Sarah shook it, then tore up the papers. Let them scatter in the wind. I'm done hiding, she said quietly. Reed smiled. Welcome back. Colonel, 3 months later, St. Margaret's Hospital. Morning shift. Dr. Marcus. Chen walked through the emergency room. He still thought about that night sometimes, the FBI raid, the shootout in the basement. Emily Crawford's disappearance. No. One knew what happened to her. She just vanished. Chen told himself she was probably in witness protection or had moved away to start over, but sometimes late at night, he wondered if she'd been killed, if those contractors had found her, if she'd died protecting a stranger. He pushed the thoughts away, focused on work. There was a new nurse starting today. Transfer. From the military, Chen didn't know much about her, just that she came highly recommended. The door to the staff room opened. A woman walked out, tall, confident, navy scrubs. She extended her hand. Dr. Chen? I'm Sarah Mitchell. Your new night shift supervisor? Chen shook her hand. Something about her felt familiar, the way she carried herself, the calm in her eyes. Have we met before? He asked. Sarah smiled. I don't think so. This is my first day. But there was something in her smile, something knowing. Chen shrugged it off. Well, welcome to St. Margaret's. I hope you'll like it here. I think I will, Sarah said. She walked toward the nurse's station, checked the patient, board, organized the supply cart, everything. With practiced efficiency, like she'd done it 1,000 times. Before, in another life. Under another name. Chen watched her work, and for just a moment, he could have sworn he saw a flash of something, glint of metal under her collar, like a chain, or maybe dog tags. But when he looked again, it was gone, just his imagination, just the exhaustion from a long shift. Sarah caught him looking. Everything okay, doctor? Chen nodded. Yeah, everything's fine. Sarah turned back to her work, and if anyone had been watching closely, they might have seen her touch something hidden beneath her scrub top. A small badge. One that didn't exist in any official database. One that had 3 simple words engraved on it. Silent badge, guardian angel. Because some heroes wore capes, some wore uniforms, and some wore scrubs. But they all carried the same burden, the burden of protecting people no matter the cost. Dr. Chen walked away. Sarah took a deep breath, looked around at the patients who needed help, at the staff who needed leadership at the work. That needed to be done. She wasn't Emily Crawford anymore. She wasn't just Colonel Mitchell. Either she was both, and for the first time in 4 years. That felt right. Her radio crackled. All units, we have incoming. Multiple trauma. 8 to 2 minutes. Sarah grabbed her bag, checked her supplies, moved toward the ambulance bay. Behind her, the morning sun rose over the city. A new day, a new mission. And somewhere in Washington, D.C., in a prison cell, Senator Carver stared at the walls, wondering how a night shift nurse had destroyed his empire, never knowing the truth that she wasn't just a nurse. She was a guardian, a soldier, a hero, and she'd just been getting started.